Ja, vielen Dank, Robert. Danke sehr auch für die Einladung. Es freut mich sehr, diese Beiträge zu hören und also um an Herrn Schlusche anzuknüpfen, es war sehr interessant. Es gibt auch eine breite Geschichte von also deutsch-jüdischen Architekten in Brünn in Tschechien und auch halt, weil es in Tschechien vor 1938 oder 1945 auch eine deutsche Minderheit von 3 Millionen Deutschen in Böhmen gab. Dann gibt es auch ganz viele Geschichten von halt deutsch-böhmischen Architekten, die halt irgendwie halb untersucht sind. Aber wie gesagt, ich werde eher mich zu dem zweiten Teil des 20. Jahrhunderts bewegen. Es geht einerseits um diese Tschechische Botschaftsgebäude in Berlin, um ganz klar die spätmoderne Bauten und dann kurz um eine Ausstellung, die gerade in Prag läuft. Und da geht es um Brutalismus in Prag. Also das bildet dann so einen Kontext für meine Kurzpräsentation. Genau, also ich würde wahrscheinlich jetzt ins Englische übergehen, weil ich habe eigentlich meine Präsentation auf Englisch, aber ich hoffe, es wird gar kein Problem für Sie. Okay, so it's this is the presentation. At first about Věra Machonjová, who's the architect of the embassy of the Czech Republic in Berlin, which was from the time period 1970 until 1978. The architect Věra Machonjová graduated from the Faculty of Architecture in Prague. Then she worked as it was like architecture was another free sort of a profession, but it was state directed. So they worked 1952 till 1967 in the State Project Institute in Prague. In 1967, with her husband, they sort of emancipated and founded an independent alpha studio where they acquired a distinct profile after a success of architectural competitions, which one of them is the Thermal Hotel in Karlovy Vary or the Kotva department store, which is already heritage protected, but it's a problematic case, this Czech embassy in Berlin, because there have been like just recently 2015 an aim to actually demolish the embassy and build a new house instead of this like outstanding building. So that's actually why it might be interesting to look at the embassy more in detail. After the Soviet occupation in 1968, the architects Věra and Vladimir Machoninovi, they refused to accept the occupation, and as a result, they were no longer able to participate in architectural competitions or construct public buildings or publish. So the reason was their refusal to sign the consent with the Soviet occupation in 1968. Until the revolution in 1989, the architect Věra Machonjová worked at the Project Institute in the capital city of Prague. So her most outstanding and well-known buildings are the Thermal Hotel in Karlovy Vary, where the Karlovy Vary Film Festival takes place, then the Center of Home Design in Prague 4, the Kotva department store, heritage protected, which is based on a structure of honeycomb structure. So it's like a very interesting constructive work. The embassy, Czechoslovak embassy in GDR, and what was characteristic for the Machoninovi architecture is they were able to travel a lot in the 1960s, and they were very intensely receptive, like the current architecture trends. So they very much were in favor of the brutalist architectures. You can see it on the, like partly on the, like if you know Rainer Benham, specified brutalist architecture in three sort of, well, anyways. What you see now is the building of the Embassy of the Czech Republic in Berlin. It's the first 1970 proposal at the Leipziger Straße. These are images from the archive we have in the National Gallery in Prague. So you see the Leipziger Straße, the Mohrenstraße, and I think here is the Wilhelmstraße. This is the view of the competition proposal, which was the first version for a plot on Leipziger Straße in the proximity of the residential compound. It was a long slab volume, and the bold composition divided the volume in two parts. It was founded on a few load-bearing reinforced concrete cores. The structures were revealed by omitting one floor, which you can see here. The main volume is fully developed from the 4th to the 10th floor, here. And in the lower base, there was a cultural background and hotel. It was here, and here is like an in-between pavilion as well. So it's a very interesting sculpture, which unfortunately was not built. What was built was then the Czech embassy. You know from now, this is like the first proposal for the new plot, which was just around the corner. It was designed on an almost square floor plan with diagonal division in floor plan and architectural space. The wings are of an unequal height, as you can see here. They differentiate the views from different sides. There is this specialty of the Machoninovi, the circular sort of auditorium, which they already projected in the Thermal Festival Hotel. And the facade, as you know, is distinctly sculpted with tiles made of Liberec granite and large-scale glass windows. So this was one of the competition proposals. I can show you the current state, which was photographed by the Berlin, French, Paris, based photographers Schnepp-Renaud. So you can see still the original wooden cladding. This is the circular auditorium, which was designed. It was an authored design by Machoninovi, including the lights. And above the lights, you can see the structure, which is like one of the traits of brutalism. You can see smaller circular conference room. It has a very outstanding geometry. This is a bar, another circular conference room, circular auditorium. So that's like the state. The embassy is currently more or less, but it's up for reconstruction. As I mentioned, like 5 years ago, there was a campaign to take down the embassy and build a new building, a smaller building, because obviously during the GDR times, the socialist times, the embassy had it was Czech and Slovak embassy, and they had a lot of staff, and currently the building is not very used. So it was partly like hired for the Max Planck Institute, but at the moment, I would say like maybe 2/3 of the embassy is empty, and it's not easy to figure out what to do with the structure. And if I understood correctly, there is this interest to I don't know, to have it heritage protected, but it's a controversial subject because obviously the Czech embassy does not want any heritage protection, because then they wouldn't be able to like refurbish it to their ideas, according to their ideas. But obviously at the moment it's very expensive to run the building, because you have to have air conditioning in the summer and heat in the winter, and I think there is like not a very good like circulation of the heating. So I think they are heating the whole structure and not only those rooms that are being used. So it's inefficient, and then there's a large question about how to deal with this building, which is obviously a point in case for all brutalist buildings. If I come back to to my presentation, at the moment there's an exhibition in Prague I curated together with with my co-curators from the Czech Technical University and Radomíra Sedláková, who's also a curator at the architecture collection in Prague. The exhibition is called No Demolitions: Forms of Brutalism in Prague. It's up. It was closed. It was opened and closed right after that. 4 days after the exhibition was opened. But now we reopened, and it runs through November. So obviously the brutalist architecture is glorified and deplored, and has become a heatedly discussed and controversial subject. I mean, to an extent, in Prague, it's a publicly understandable name, even though from the like expert point of view, like brutalism is something that took place like strictly in Britain and in the US. And I think the architects in Prague were more or less influenced by brutalism, not that they would be like the real like brutalist architects. There is, for example, there are like specifics, like the use of concrete is only to an extent, but you have like these large volumes that are being used by the figurative or like sculptural architecture. The construction is being shown, as well as the authenticity of materials and so on. So it does comply with this like brutalist sort of 3 rules stated by Rainer Banham. So the exhibition step by step reveals 6 sections: composition of volumes, the inner world, technical experiment, public space, plasticity of surface and interiors. We also included works of art, because it was like a Gesamtkunstwerk. So for example, this is the balance sculpture by the sculptor Klimesh, executed in collaboration with architects for the Barrandov Bridge. This model was then enlarged 15 times to the 14 times 6 meters of the realized sculpture, and because you can then like see it from the moving car, so that's interesting. Yeah, here you see the opening gallery of 38 photographs of Kamil Varta iconic buildings in Czechoslovakia, namely in Prague. The architecture influenced by brutalism manifests finer accents that correspond to the locally specific environment, the differentiated treatment of the building's volume in respect to the urban context. The eye-catching materials and colors were more present than the raw concrete. Buildings were designed down to the detail as comprehensive works of art and architecture in their own right. And the exhibition presents outstanding architects like Karel Prager, Machoninovi, Karel Felzák, Kuna, Šrámková, and others. Obviously, the name is No Demolition. So on this map, you can see the map to how many exhibiting buildings were destroyed already, how many of them were refurbished. Like the problem is that like the refurbishment usually like takes away most of the characteristics of the building, of the outer facade, but also like the inner interiors become completely refurbished. So I mean, basically, like sometimes just the concrete steel structure or the structure of the building remains. So that was the fate of a large number of those buildings. If they don't get destroyed, they are, you know, being like completely like changed by refurbishment. We have this example of Transgas Building, which was just recently taken down, 2019, which was a technological experiment as well, like based on the Vierendeel construction. So that was like there was like a broad activist opposition against taking down of this building, and the building didn't get heritage protected. So it's been like an ongoing dispute between the experts and the sort of interested public, and the state heritage protection and the investors, because obviously these buildings, they are all located in the very center of Prague, so the real estate pressures are quite high. Here you see the visualization. It's very beautiful, actually, from the 70s. This is another project from Machoninovi. On the facade, there is this characteristic atmofix. It's a type of curtain, which was developed in Czechoslovakia, and is the center of home design. You can see these concrete cores with staircases, which you can also see at the Czech embassy in Berlin. Then there's this structure. It's like, I would say, a superstructure by Karel Prager. It's a planning study, urban planning study for the redevelopment of Košírské údolí Valley from 1973. Its objective was to explore the possibilities of building up areas of Prague with adverse conditions for development. It was conceived as a specific urban planning sociological project that counted with the use of load-bearing superstructures made of reinforced concrete built above the existing developed area of Košíře. They incorporated housing units, office buildings, and other necessary facilities. So it's quite a visionary project we have in models. Then we have the former Federal Assembly in a number of plans and visualizations. As I said, there are some artworks in the exhibition, and then we have a video, like a loop, that runs over 4 minutes, and it captures the erosion of Transgas, because these buildings influenced by brutalism fall fairly easily victims to insensitive radical conversions, as I mentioned. In Prague, this is particularly the case of demolitions of the Hotel Praha, the Invalidovna Mazut heating plant, the telephone exchange office in Davice, and most recently the Transgas complex. And there are these devastating conversions of Omnipol, Mercuria, Motokov, and so forth, and so on. So yeah, so it's an ongoing issue, and there are, like, you know, other initiatives in Brno. This exhibition was mostly like concerned with Prague. Yeah, so it's an ongoing debate. I can only like now show you like the teaser for the exhibition. That's like part of the loop. Yeah. So it's yeah, so this video then takes 4 minutes, and I would show you these 4 minutes, but I assume we don't have that much time.